I'm making outfits for the little ladies from the Little Ladies collection. So y'all, let's go make it. But first, always remember to share this so it will save to your profile and you can find it when you're looking for it again later. I'm not sure if you know, but I have a new fabric collection coming out, and I'm headed to H&H in Chicago to debut my fabric collection. Dun, dun, dun. And so I'm creating an outfit. This is the shirt, and it's a precious pinafore for the little ladies, and we're gonna make some shorts. We're gonna do the shirt today. I have to try the shorts on them tonight and make sure that they fit. I tried the shirt on them already on them, and I have to make the second one, and then I want to add something to the bottom of this. I didn't hem it because I wasn't sure if I wanted lace or what, but I think I've decided to use this tiny lace on the bottom of it. But we're gonna go make this so we can have precious photos of the little ladies made in their little lady fabric. Dun, dun, dun. I started with this pint size pinafore sewing pattern by Amy Barrickman, you know, my friend that has the book Love You to Pieces, that is my show mama. I was looking for a pattern and I said, Amy, can I use this one? And she said, I would love for you to. So she sent it to me, and when you get it, it comes with all of the pieces for you to tape together and then cut out. When you tape it together, it looks like this. You have a front band, a back band, the ties, and the pockets. So you tape it together and then you cut it out. Now the sizes are like, let me find some glasses. 2, 4, 6, 8, I think maybe. Yeah. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I used the 2, 4, and whenever I tried it on the little ladies, it came to like the tops of their thighs. It was a little longer than a shirt, but not long enough to wear by itself. So it still has to have something underneath it, and we are putting some ruffle shorts under it. So I taped my pattern together, I cut it all out, and then I cut my pieces. Well, for every piece, I cut double. So if I had to have 1 front, I cut 2. 2 backs, I cut 4. You get the idea. I made 1 because the first one of anything is always the hardest, and I wanted to know what I was doing when I sat down to film this for you, so that at least one of us wouldn't be confused, because half of the other time I spent like this, reading and reading and reading, because I wanted to make sure I got it right. So our instructions say, glasses, Tammy. Lay fabric right sides together with folded edge close to you. Lay out pattern pieces as illustrated. I did all that. All right. Finish the slanted arm edges of the front and back pieces, the center back edges, and the upper slanted edge of the pockets with serging or an alternate method such as zigzag stitch. It's all my pieces. It says finish the slanted arm edge of the front and back pieces. Okay, so that's this. You see how it cut out with this weird, that's so that you can take this and fold it under and sew it down. I'm just gonna sew that with a zigzag stitch on the front and back underarm, and then on the back piece is 2 pieces. The front is 1 piece, the back is 2 pieces, and I need to hem down this long side, and then I need to fold down the pockets. Okay, here's the top of the pocket. I need to fold that down and hem it. Let me iron this down. So I'm not gonna serge it or zigzag it. The first one I made, I literally just folded it over and zigzagged. But this one, I'm gonna fold over a tiny bit, and then I'm gonna fold it over again and straight stitch it down, because I'll show you the underarm of the other one, and it's okay. I'm not redoing it, but it kind of gathered a little bit where the zigzag was, and perfectly fine. But since I'm making another one, I'm just gonna do it a tiny bit differently. So do you see how I folded that down a tiny bit? And then I folded it down again. So my raw edge is all the way on the inside. So it's gonna fold in and then fold in again, versus this one. Do you see how it tried to gather up some there and there? And that's perfectly fine. And if I wasn't making another one, I would not take that out and redo it, nor would I make another one to replace this one. This one looks great, but since I'm making it again, I'm gonna do it this way. I'm gonna do that to the underarm, both sides of the front and both underarm pieces of the back. I'm gonna fold it over, iron it down, and then we're gonna straight stitch it.
I don't love making clothes because they're very time consuming and pretty tedious, and my children wear them for 4.5 minutes because it's pretty rude how fast they outgrow things. But these are special, so of course we have to make them, and if I'm making them, we're making them together.
Okay, so we've ironed all of that down. Now, this is the back. The back is open. There's 2 sides. Here's one side and here's the other side. So what we're gonna do is the same thing to be able to hem the side of the back of the dress. It actually is the middle where it comes apart. We want to hem that. So we're going to go in a little bit, just fold it down just a tiny bit, and then fold it over again. And then in a few minutes after we get all this ironed, we're going to straight stitch it.
The way these are sized, the 2-year-old would be a little longer, more like a dress, and the 4-year-old is more like a shirt. If I were making it for a 2-year-old, I'd probably do bloomers, but because we're 4, we're going to do some little ruffle shorts.
Okay, now we're going to do the same thing to our pockets. This is the top of our pocket, and I know this because I already made one. We're going to fold it over and fold it over again so we can hem that down just like the underarms and the back, the middle of the back of our pinafore. I happen to know, and I bet our instructions said it, but we have to do the side and the bottom of the pocket too. I'm going to sew the top down and then we'll come back and do the side and the bottom. So all we're going to do is straight stitch over what we folded and ironed to give us a nice hem on each one of our pieces. It's going to hide our raw edge. Now, I'm not changing my color thread because I didn't with the first one, and so now I don't want to change it with this one, but if I were doing it again, starting from scratch, I would be changing the thread color to match the fabric so that the thread wasn't so yelling at me. All right, I'm going to straight stitch close to the edge, so I'm going to straight stitch close to this edge right here on all the pieces, on the pockets, the underarms, and the backs of each one. Back stitching when I start and when I stop because my grandma said so.
All I did was fold these down and iron them and fold them down again and iron them. About 1/4 inch each time. So I folded it down 1/4 inch and ironed it, and then folded it over another 1/4 inch and ironed it. And that's just going to hide our raw edge. It's going to be inside our seam. It's going to make our dress look really nice. So now all I'm doing is straight stitching like a top stitch closer to the edge. Clothes aren't difficult. They're just time consuming.
Now we have to do the short side of the pocket and the bottom side of the pocket the same way. So we're folding it in, ironing it down, folding it in again, ironing it down. Now I know this side does not have to be hemmed because it's going to be inside the seam. But I'm going to do the short side and then the bottom of each pocket, and we're going to stitch that down just like we did the rest of it. What if I told y'all in this moment right now, after I'd already done this entire pocket, I realized that it's not the short side, it's not the long side that doesn't need to be done, it's the short side that doesn't need to be done. So I went and did the long side, and now I have to go back and take out the short side. But see, I get too excited, and then I think I remember things, or that I can skip a page of the pattern because I know what I'm doing, and I in fact do not. So I did go and hem the long side of this. I have to take this side out or else it's going to be that much shorter because it's the short side that doesn't need to be hemmed. Don't hem your short side, and then you won't have to take it out like I'm about to do.
You would think after all these years sewing, I would know to read the pattern and read the pattern again and read it a third time to make sure that I know what I'm doing. But no, I think I know. And so I just rock along until I'm backtracking to take something out because I have in fact gotten it wrong. So read your pattern and read your pattern again, and then maybe a third time, and you won't be using your seam ripper. Or sew like me and pull your seam ripper out. She is my good friend.
All right, we did the hemming the back center edges, making the pockets, place the bottom edge of the pocket at the marked dot on the front pinafore, pin in place along the bottom inner sides. Okay, here's the front of our pinafore. Here's our dot, and our pocket needs to be placed at the bottom of the dot. We're going to clip it, and then it says to mark it. I'm not marking it. I'm just using the pattern that I cut out, but if you want to mark it, I want you to mark it. The same thing on this side. If we can find our other pocket, there she is. We're going to clip it. Now, what needs to happen next is I need to sew down this side and across the bottom on both pockets because remember the side seam is going to be in the dress. I'm not pinning mine. I'm just going to leave them clipped to the side. If you want to pin yours on, that's what I want you to do, okay? I'm just going to sew it on with a straight stitch, kind of like a top stitch. I'm just going to sew down the bottom of the pocket and up the side. We want to leave the top open so it's actually a pocket.
If this pinafore did not have a pocket, I would be making a pocket to go on it because my little ladies love a pocket. They love somewhere to put their treasures, and they get so tickled when their outfit has a pocket. They put their hands in it and twirl around. And there's something sweet about a little girl twirl.
Now we're going to, we didn't sew all the rest of our underarms down. Now why'd y'all let me do that? I was just moving along. I guess I sewed some of them and thought I was finished. Let me sew these down and then we'll move to the next step. Okay, so now we're gonna put our pinafore together. We are going to lay our front face up. We're gonna lay our back pieces, the straight edge in the center, face down. Do you see this? Like this and like this. And we're gonna sew down each side. Now you can do this a couple of ways. You can sew it with a serger and have a finished edge. You can make a French seam, which is sewing it and then folding it, or sewing it like this actually would be a French seam. You would sew it like this and then turn it inside out and sew it so you would have the raw edge would be inside the seam. Or you can sew it like I'm gonna sew it and then go back and zigzag down the edge of yours. That's what I'm gonna do. Now, if you make a lot of clothes, you probably love your serger. I don't love my serger. She is not my friend. We're gonna straight stitch down each side and then I'm gonna go back and zigzag. I'm gonna straight stitch with a 1/4 inch seam, back stitching when I start and when I stop because my grandma said so.
Now when I zigzag in just a minute, all I'm doing is following the edge of my fabric under the center of my presser foot so the zigzag ends up on the edge of my seam.
Okay, now we have our pinafore sewn. Do you see my seams? I'm just gonna go and zigzag down the sides of those, down each side, this side and then that side. And that's just gonna help get rid of the raw edge. Easy, super, super easy. And unlike your serger, it will not make you lose your sanity. 2 of my pattern pieces are labeled front band and back band. My instructions say to take one of the front bands, fold it down and iron it. And one of the back bands, fold it down on the longest side and iron it. Then I have these that are not ironed, right? The next thing I'm supposed to do is make my straps. Here are my straps. I'm going to fold those over, pretty side to pretty side. I'm going to sew down this longest side. And then I'm going to turn them right side out. I'm going to sew them with a straight stitch, a 1/4 inch seam, back stitching when I start and when I stop because my grandma said so.
I'm just sewing down one side. I'm not sewing on either end. So it's completely open. And then when I finish it, I'm going to turn it right side out. Partially with my fingers, partially with a chopstick or whatever other handy dandy tool that you have. I've seen people turn it right side out with a piece of PVC pipe. I have one. My sweet hubby made me, but it's not small enough to go in here. You could also attach a safety pin to one end and then push your safety pin down through the center of your tube and turn it right side out that way.
Okay, I've made my straps, turn them right side out. I ironed them. Now I ironed where I sewed the seam in the center of the bottom of the strap instead of to one of the sides. Now I've laid my back band face up and I'm laying my straps all the way to the top of it, about a 1/2 inch in and clipping that. I'm gonna do the same thing with the front band. Clip it just like this. I'm gonna lay the other back band piece face up and have this sandwiched in it. And then I'm gonna do the same thing with the front band. Now the part that I ironed is going to the inside. Iron this and iron this. We're just making a sandwich. Now we're gonna sew right here where it's folded, down, across, and back up on both sides. Straight stitch, 1/4 inch seam, back stitching when you start and when you stop because my grandma said so.
So I realize in just a minute that I have no idea why one is folded under and ironed and the other one is not folded under and ironed. So I'm going to go back and fold it under and iron it. But if I were you, I would do that first and not wait until after you've sewn it together like I did.
Okay, I've sewn that. Now I'm going to pull it out. Dun, dun, dun.
And then you're going to turn it right side out and be sure to push out your corners. It'll make it crisp and square looking or rectangle, and that's what you want. If you don't push your corners out, you'll have some weird like rounded corners with fabric in it. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I'm not really sure why that is like that, but I'll tell you what we're going to do because this is what I have. I'm sure there's a reason for it, but I'm going to fold mine under and iron it so that mine is nice and even. I don't remember what I did with the other one. I don't know why we only folded under one side. But I probably read the pattern wrong. My grandmother could not read a pattern, so she never taught me how to read a pattern. And I have muddled my way through many patterns over the years. And I can usually figure it out by looking at the pictures. And I understand enough of the terminology to be able to make it work, but I don't make a lot of clothes. They're time consuming, as you can see, and if I'm spending all this time on something, I want my children to wear it every day for the next 100 years, not wear it for 10 minutes and then outgrow it. It's kind of rude how they outgrow the things we make them, isn't it? So I don't make a lot of their clothes anymore. I did when they were tiny, but now I really just don't make much, except these that are super special. And so I don't have a whole lot of experience with clothes. Most everything I've made, we've made together. Okay, so now we have this done. Now it's time to gather our pinafore. Okay, well, we do gather it next. So I'm not using the back straps. All you do is sew them together and then attach them to the back. I cut them and I was gonna use them, but then I ended up putting a bow on the back of ours, and the straps go about probably here, I would think. So I'm not putting the straps on mine. If you want to put the straps on, easy peasy. But I am going to show you how I put this bow on. So cute. And then we have to decide about the bottom. I'm going to put this tiny little eyelet lace on here, I think, because that's what's on the bottom of our shorts. And then if we don't like it, we can always take it off. I want to try it on the little ladies before I put the lace on it to make sure that the lace isn't going to be too long. I don't want to cover their shorts up, and their shorts are not very, there's not much to them because they're tiny, tiny little girls. Okay, so we have to gather this up to make it fit, and then we have to gather the back up to make it fit. And y'all know what I'm doing? I'm gathering it with some dental floss like y'all told me to. Or I say I am if I can find it. Okay, so if you don't know the dental floss trick, the trick is you zigzag, over dental floss, and then you just pull your pieces, and it gathers up beautifully. It's genius and so much easier than what I've been doing all of my life. But one of y'all taught it to me, and I will forever be grateful. So I'm going to lay this on top of my dress that's laying face down. I'm going to center it underneath my presser foot. Bum, bum, bum. And then I'm going to put it on the longest zigzag stitch, longest and widest. I'm putting it on a zigzag, then I'm going to lengthen and widen the stitch as much as I can so that we will sew across the dental floss and not to the dental floss, because raise your hand if you've done that. And then it won't gather, I promise. All right, and I'm not back stitching. I know, can you believe I said that? Okay, so now what we're going to do is dun, 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 dental floss and gather. Look how genius that is. Okay, this is waxed dental floss. This is waxed dental floss from Amazon probably. I don't remember where I got it from. But I didn't have any at first, and I tried all the things. And y'all came back and told me all the things that y'all use to zigzag over. It's pretty genius. Lots of things. Yarn, embroidery thread, fishing line. The dental floss has been my best friend though. But now if you want to zigzag over whatever you got, no judgment. It is a much easier ruffle. Okay, or gathering. This isn't necessarily a ruffle, but it is gathered. Okay, so now I'm gathering it the width of my band. This is the front, and I'm laying it in between the front and the back of the band. Do you see that? I want to make sure that I'm laying the pretty side down so that the pretty side is on the same side of the band as the pretty side of our strap, because the back side has our seam. Do you see that? Now I'm just going to go straight stitch down here. And if I had this to do over, and I'm not remaking a second one, it is not that serious, but if I had it to do over, I would change my thread color to blue right here instead of leaving the white. I think it would keep the white from yelling at me, because when I look at the one I already made, it yells at me. And not loud enough for me to redo it, but loud enough for me to know if I were making this again, I would do it. All right, I'm going to sew it like a top stitch, meaning a little closer to the edge, and I'm going to back stitch when I start and when I stop, and it's just a straight stitch. Maybe I should get it off a zigzag, right? I'm going to cut our dental floss off and our loose threads, because nobody wants threads hanging from that gift you just gave them. Nobody, not a single soul. Plus, cutting your threads off makes you look like you know what you're doing, so be sure you cut those off. That's the front of our pinafore. Look how cute. Okay, we're gonna gather the back the same way. Zigzag stitch, longest, widest. We are not back stitching. And we're going to make these meet just where they're hemmed. I'm not sure what our instructions say. Gather each side separately between the hemmed edge and the arm. Okay, but I did not gather mine separately. When I did this one, I put one on top of the other just like this. And I zigzagged it and gathered it at the same time. But you can gather yours separately, or however you want to do it. And pull our pieces so that it's gathered. Bum, bum, bum. Turn our strap over and put it inside the strap, just like this. Back on straight stitch, and we're going to stitch it down inside of our back band, just like we did the front band. All right, here is our pinafore. Okay, so now let's talk about the bow on the back. The bow on the back was a piece of fabric 6 inches wide, and I have no idea how long, and of course I didn't measure it. It was a scrap. I was going to see if it worked. It worked, and then I sewed it on there, and I thought, well, Tammy, that was genius. And then I just took my 6-inch piece of fabric, folded it in half, and sewed it all the way around, left a little hole, turned it right side out, and then I stitched it. I have it clipped right here. I stitched it right here, just like that, but then it hangs down. So I need to come back and stitch it up here, I'm thinking. This is what I think, but I need the little ladies to try it on, and they'll be here tomorrow. So, or I'll take it home tonight, let them try it on. Y'all meet me right back here. We'll finish the bow, the bottom of our pinafore, and look at how cute their little shorts are gonna be. So this is their little outfit for their photos. Oh my goodness. My name is Tammy. I'm your favorite sewing teacher, and I would love for you to come sew with me.